A couple leaders were available for questions yesterday. Sark is poaching position groups, and can someone please put these running backs in some freaking bubble wrap?
You are Locked On Longhorns, your daily podcast on the Texas Longhorns. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What up, friends? It's your girl, Lacey, a.k.a. Laced Up, together with my co-host, Jonathan Davis, to bring you today's episode of Locked On Longhorns. Thank you so much Thank y'all so much for making us your first listen every single day of the week. We truly, truly appreciate every single one of y'all. If you like the show, let us know. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that post notification bell so that you're notified every single time we upload a video. Locked On Longhorns, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. But dang it, y'all. The news of Christian Clark's torn Achilles is taking some wind out of my sails for sure, but Quinn Ewers and Jahdae Barron made up for it just a little bit when they caught up with the media in a post-practice media availability window where they discussed a little bit about roster depth, leadership, and the value of coming in every day with a positive attitude, which I don't know if y'all watched it, but both Quinn and Jahdae speak with such confidence and conviction that I kind of felt like they would have taken my lunch money if I didn't believe them. So, I was like, okay, my bad. Y'all got it. You know what? I believe you. It is what it is. Y'all got this, man. But there are a couple position groups in danger of losing some depth pieces in light of our seemingly snake-bitten running back room. But before we get into all of that, let's hear a word from today's sponsor, Gametime. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app today. Create an account and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Man, I don't like starting episodes off like this, but it is official. We are now back to 0 days without an incident on the 40 acres as freshman running back Christian Clark will be undergoing surgery to repair a torn Achilles and has been ruled out for the upcoming season. I hate having to come on here and make yet another episode starting off like this. And like Jonathan and I said last week with CJ, you obviously never want to see any sort of serious injuries happen. And with him being a freshman, my heart just really goes out to him and really breaks for him. Obviously, he was really looking forward to the season. And with CJ going down, he was really going to, with him and Jared Gibson, they were going to be able to really provide both of them an opportunity to really showcase their abilities and what they're able to do. But unfortunately for the youngster, his breakout will have to wait until next year. Absolutely devastated. Like I said, just all of us here at Locked On wish him the best and a very, very speedy recovery. Because like I said, I've preached and praised about Christian Clark since before he even committed to Texas last year. And I'm really excited to see what he's able to do in the future. But like I said, just absolutely devastated for him. You never want to see that happen. But another big blow for the running back room just in general. I don't want to necessarily say bigger blow because obviously losing running back one is just absolute worst case scenario. And Christian probably wasn't going to see many significant snaps this season. Obviously he would have seen more now that CJ has gone down. He probably would have seen a little bit more touches. But for those that aren't keeping track, that officially brings the Texas Longhorns to only 3 scholarship running backs on roster for the 2024 season. Jaden Blue, Trey Wisner, Jared Gibson. That's it. That's the list, y'all. Tashard Choice has done a very, very good job, not just recruiting the position talent-wise, but also just making sure to take multiple running backs in every class that he's had at Texas. But, man, this is just one of those times where you really hate the transfer portal because I'm really missing Savion Red right about now. Jonathan and I talked a little bit about the depth of this running back room last week. And for me, I kind of started out as a little bit more cautiously optimistic. And then obviously after hearing the CJ news, it just makes you question things, obviously. And then, like I said, I started out a little bit more cautiously optimistic, but after hearing about Christian going down and everything, it's got my tummy hurting a little bit. I can't lie. I still have all the faith in the world in Steve Sarkisian and Coach Choice to do what they do and work it out. I just think Sark has to approach the problem much more methodically now, than just having to have that like next man up mentality like before. It's not really that simple anymore. You have to get like starting off, you have to get more bodies in that room. One, possibly two more bodies from somewhere on this roster to maintain the depth and to operate offensively at the level that Sark is going to need to win in the SEC. But more importantly, you really need to figure out a way to protect your currently healthy backs with the depth that's in the room that is just kind of dropping like dropping like flies over the past week. It's just an absolute necessity to keep guys like Jaden Blue and Trey Wisner in the free and clear and absolutely healthy until the season hits. Whatever it takes, whether it's a non-contact jersey, splitting up reps a little bit, making them walk around campus in one of those big old inflatable bubbles that you just kind of run into people with. Honestly, I don't care. You have to try to find a way to protect your backs from the injury bug and steady this ship a little bit, especially this early on in the season. And we're so close to the first game. You know, multiple players being out for long periods of time is never a good thing, but it just gets even harder to ignore or push aside whenever it's coming from the same position groups. As we know, depth is so important in college football, but especially when you're in the SEC, in those later months, the Novembers, Decembers, you're tired, roster is depleted. You had to go to Fayetteville last weekend. You got to go to College Station next weekend. Who are you relying on? When it's 4th and 2 in the red zone and you need those short, tough yards, who are you going to go to fill that role? I don't really know yet, but some reports have surfaced of a few names that Sark has in mind to fill the void. But first, here's another word from today's sponsor. I know the Olympics just ended and the Paralympics start soon, but summer is a pretty slow time in the sports world unless you're a baseball fan. The smell of roasted peanuts and ballpark nachos have always been almost synonymous with summertime for me, even since I was a kid. But now that I'm an adult, I don't always have the advance notice or the financial freedom to buy last minute tickets and then food and drinks and souvenirs and a foam finger and all this other stuff. But all of that changes with Gametime. With dope features like super last minute deals or their all-in ticket pricing with no surprise fees at checkout, Gametime takes the stress and guesswork out of game day. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. While it'd be really easy to sit and freak out about how depleted our backfield looks at the moment, Steve Sarkisian and Tashard Choice have really gotten to work brainstorming different ideas on how to backfill that position internally. As I mentioned before, one of the two most important things when dealing with this type of situation, in my opinion, is to get more bodies in that room. You can only work with what you have. And what we have right now is 3 scholarship running backs with the season quickly approaching. We have praised Sark since the beginning, since he stepped on campus for his ability to recruit talent both at the high school level and via the transfer portal. But times like now are when we finally get to really start seeing it in action. So where does he go? People keep screaming from the rooftops to find ourselves another Roshan Johnson, but that 2019 team was also accompanied with a Sam Ehlinger rushing for over 160 attempts on the season. And I mean, I hate to break it to y'all, but Quinn just ain't doing that. Quinn ain't doing that. Sark doesn't want Quinn to do that. Sark has been looking all over this roster for possible options. And it seems as if there are a few linebackers, receivers, and a tight end that have caught his eye. One of the names mentioned as a possibility is sophomore linebacker Darian Gillette. who actually took some snaps at the running back position in this past Saturday's scrimmage, while also recording an interception in this scrimmage as well. So this guy is obviously very, very versatile, very dynamic. I feel like many people forget that Darian Gillette is a guy that had 1,400 receiving yards as a junior in high school. So he's just this natural athlete, listed at 6'3", about 230, 235. Gillette would definitely add some much needed size in that room. He's not a guy that I think Sark would necessarily create his own packages for or anything like that. But because just like I said, it's one thing to tell a guy to hit this hole at this time. It's a completely different thing to ask him to take a direct snap, pause, read the motion, or pass protect and go and do this and go. It's a completely different thing to completely create a scheme for him. So, but with his natural athletic ability and with him being a guy I think can bring the power and be more of an in between the tackles kind of guy, I think moving Gillette to the running back room not only fills that hole, but it also allows for some valuable playing time for a guy that hasn't really gotten his moment to shine just yet. Being buried in that linebacker depth chart, which is never a bad thing, especially in the NIL era. That's hard to say. But this is the guy that I've had my eye on the most for this because, like I said, he's obviously not a CJ Baxter, but I really think he could be a guy you can trust to come in and get a few tough yards. I really think he's a good possibility for sure. Another name already getting some reps in the backfield is senior tight end Juan Davis. Now, I don't know if y'all remember this at all, but Juan actually entered his name in the portal back in January, and Sark talked him into withdrawing it the very next day. And obviously now I'm so glad he did. The staff has talked really, really highly on Juan since the spring, and that's just kind of continued into fall camp. Sark has already mentioned Juan as a guy that he's been impressed with thus far. Juan, another big body, 6'4", 220 pounds. So I could definitely see Sark lining him up as that true H-back and some jumbo packages this season. Obviously, with him being a tight end, he's going to be a sufficient pass blocker and pass catcher. So he can definitely be utilized as a receiving threat out of the backfield, which we know Sark likes to do. Juan Davis was one of those all-star guys in high school, playing all over the field, even playing the quarterback position. So he's got at least a little bit of vision from that spot and from that position in the field. But Jeff Banks has praised him for his physicality, and he's proven before that he has what it takes to be able to run through the tackles and fight for those tough yards. So it'll be very interesting to see how it plays out. We know Sark is going to have to get creative with this type of situation, but we also know he wants to run the football. Sark wants to run the football. So I'm interested to see how a guy like that can end up being utilized in Sark's offense. But finally, redshirt freshman Ryan Niblett is the last guy I want to talk about. As of right now, is a guy that I think could end up seeing some time at the running back position. Now, Ryan is easily one of the fastest guys on this entire roster. This guy can absolutely, my earring fell out. This guy can absolutely fly. He is so fast. Not only that, but he's also played some Wildcat QB in high school. So if we've learned anything throughout this entire little search and through some of the guys that they've mentioned, this roster is extremely versatile from top to bottom. It's not even just the ones or the twos. These are guys that have been buried in the depth chart in their respective position groups. And this could easily end up being a situation where this gets them some of the playing time that they've been seeing or that they've been wanting to see as some of the younger guys in the room, or with some of the guys that haven't been on the field as much. Ryan is not a small guy per se, but at 5'10", 185, he doesn't provide you the size advantage that you get with a Juan Davis or a Darian Gillette. But being in the room, he has good ball, or being in the receiver room, sorry. He has good ball handling skills, and he has the ability to really break away given the opportunity. This is another, like I said, this is another guy similar to Darian Gillette in the fact that they've been buried on the depth chart, and they could really end up seeing some in-game playing time and some really valuable touches that they haven't seen previously just by moving positions like this. So it could be a very, very mutually beneficial opportunity for multiple different guys. So there's never anything wrong with that. I saw so many different opinions on possible position flips when doing my research for this episode. And Sark has already come up with some pretty intriguing ideas. So make sure you let us know in the comments who you think could or should be moved from their current position to make an impact. I want to end this episode off on a really, really good note. And that's on hearing some words from some of the players, because in my opinion, one of the most important things to rely on throughout the storm that is the preseason injuries and preseason woes is the culture that Sark has instilled in this program from the very beginning. Quinn Ewers and Jahdae Barron were made available to the media last night after practice. And one of the main things that I noticed when listening to them speak, and I kind of joked about it earlier, but their confidence and conviction in what they're saying is not only refreshing to see as a Texas fan, but it's also pretty reassuring during what could be a very gloom and doom time inside that locker room. I just have to praise both of these guys really quick because we've really watched them grow into themselves before our eyes over the past few years. And I feel like we're really starting to see a very mature, headstrong persona or aura, I guess, from some of the leaders on this team. Quinn and Jahdae both spoke very highly of a few different guys and really praised the team's positive energy getting them through this time. Quinn saying that positivity every now and then whenever a couple guys go down in that room. At the end of the day, he thinks Coach Joyce have done a good job of recruiting the running back room. And I mentioned it earlier, but obviously I have to agree. This situation could definitely be a lot worse had Coach Joyce not recruited the position as well as he has. So that's definitely something to be happy about in this situation. I know there's not much, but that is definitely a silver lining. I mentioned before that I noticed how highly they were speaking of some of the other guys, but one guy that was mentioned by both Quinn and Jahdae Barron is Oregon State Bolden. Jahdae called Bolden a heck of a ball player and really praised his catch-making abilities, while Quinn commented on how much he could tell Bolden wanted to succeed just from the moment he stepped on campus, which really ties back into perpetuating the right culture throughout the program, right? Jahdae mentioned seeing major growth in guys like Barron Sorrell and how much he's loved being able to watch him change and mature both mentally and physically over the years, but just really applauding him for how he's always constantly handling his business and doing what he has to do both on and off the field. So y'all, I don't know if this media availability truly showed me anything, because it's all the same stuff of, you hear all the coach speech, you hear all of the, oh, well, we're working hard. Oh, we're keeping our head down, focused on game one, focused on blah, 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 blah. But the way that, like I said, that they are so confident in what they're saying, they're speaking with their convictions, they're saying it with their chest. And in a time when it could be very, very somber and very depressing in that locker room, especially when you have two guys in the same room going down and you just have kind of a whirlwind going around in the locker room, it could be a very trying time for people and for guys in that locker room. So to see guys like that just really stand up and say it with their chest, speak from their heart, and just really praise a lot of the guys around them, as well as having confidence in themselves. Neither Quinn nor Jahdae showed any fear or falter, even after losing two to teammates for the season in a week. And like I said, from how highly they spoke of not only their teammates, but themselves, it just gives me confidence that no matter what this team goes through, from top to bottom, they're going to figure it out. Like, Sark has done a good enough job over the past 3 years with the culture and with instilling such a positive mindset in these guys, in these young men, that I just feel like it's really you're really starting to see the benefits of that. You're really starting to see it trickle down throughout the entire program. And as sad as this week has been in terms of injuries, it's really nice to see them come together and really kind of support each other through all of it. And I'm just really excited to see with the different options that we've listed and with the different options that Sark has at the ready. I'm just really excited to see what he's able to do with it. But that's it for today's show, you guys. Thank y'all so much for watching. Please make sure to hit that thumbs up button below if you like this video. And comment down below and let us know who you think would be the best option to transfer to the running back position. Please subscribe and don't forget to hit that post notification bell so that you're notified every single time we post a video. See y'all tomorrow. Hook 'em horns.